Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Katie, we are back with another episode of Christian Cringe, and this week we have our good friend Heidi Cox-London specifically.
Yeah.
Heidi Cox-London is here, and I'm really excited about this topic because similarly to when we did the Christian colleges episode, we're going to talk about Christian camps, neither which I've really had any long-term experience with. I've gone on like a weekend retreat here and there, but I've never done like a Christian summer camp. So I'm very excited to learn all about this fun world. But Heidi, first, we have a quiz for you.
I'm so excited. I'm rubbing my hands together.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So I want you to understand, we're doing a quiz to find out how Christian cringe you are, and there's no shame in being 100% because you're talking to 200%ers right now.
I think I went up to 110% on like one of the last episodes.
Yeah, you said something real cringy, and I bumped you up a point.
Yep.
I'm sure that I will be up there, and I am excited.
So question number one, easy one. Have you ever identified yourself as a Christian?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's the easy one. Look, if the answer's no to that, we can just stop the quiz usually. But question number two, did you ever attend youth group?
It was my favorite. Like, I loved it. Like, especially when we moved from, like, I grew up in like this small town called Clemson, South Carolina. And then I moved to Greenville, which was like the big metropolitan area.
Yeah.
And when we got there were like a whole bunch of kids my age in youth group. And I was like, I want to hang out with them because they were like nice.
And you know what? I do think about that sometimes because there's some people who have like youth group horror stories. And it makes me feel like really lucky that I actually was like, no, I don't. Even though I've like been on this weird journey of my like religious beliefs, I still can look fondly on most of my youth group stuff. It was just good people that I had goofy fun with on Sunday nights. And like, there wasn't very much problematic things actually from my youth group days, which is great to feel.
For me, it was Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and then I would call them up on Friday night too. Like one of my best friends in high school he was in youth group, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I was talking to him recently because Jonathan and Ophelia and I are going to South Carolina. And he's like the director of our camp now. And I'm like, we got to come up and visit because it's going to be happening when we're there.
I love that. I think that should be when we do the revised questionnaire next year, Katie, for year 2.
Yeah.
It should be how many days did you go to church a church function more than 5 days a week on average?
Right.
Because I think I definitely was like, Monday night Bible study, Wednesday night Bible study, Young Life on Thursdays. We had weekly coffee shops at the church on Fridays, a Saturday morning Bible study, and then church in the morning, youth group at night. I was 6 out of the 7 days of the week I was at a church-related function.
I mean, I'm not gonna shirk you for that because I think I was probably right along with you, but at the same time,
we would have all been friends. We would have all been hanging out.
It's true.
We would have all, and maybe we would have, question number 3, all been rocking our WWJD bracelets, because did you ever own a What Would Jesus Do shirt or bracelet?
Yeah. I had a few bracelets. I had my main one was blue. Had a blue WWJD.
Good. I remember the blue WWJD bracelets. Question number 4. Did you ever declare in some way that you were going to save yourself for marriage?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how'd that go?
Did you have a purity ring?
I did have a purity ring. My mom still likes to humiliate me with this story of like, I was like 11 or 12 and she gave me what was a purity ring, but I didn't know that's what it was. She was just like, yeah, it's just this ring that you look at, and like anytime you think about doing something you shouldn't do, you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. I was like, oh, that's a nice ring. And then I had this boyfriend in 7th grade, so I was like 12. And to show him how much I adored him, I let him like hold on to my ring. And my mom was like,
Beautiful.
What?
Beautiful.
Why is he have that?
This is perfect. This is perfect. That's exactly how it should be used.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Can we take away the idea of like, you know, there's phrases that we won't say to talk about virginity, but can we just make it, I gave him my ring?
I think it's like even more grotesque to say I gave him my ring. Like that is disgusting.
Flower. I gave him my flower. No, I literally let him like hold on to my ring as like a I'm your girlfriend kind of thing. But
it was like wearing the varsity jacket on the other side of that. Like
right. He tried to corrupt me, but honestly, how did it go? Fairly well. Like I was well into my 20s before.
Good for you. Good for you. I love that.
Same.
High five.
Late 20s at that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Question number 5. Did you ever have a strong opinion about a Christian band blowing up in the mainstream, either calling them sellouts or being really excited for their success?
Oh, like Creed, right?
I feel like Creed was good enough.
Yeah,
if you were like trying to own Creed, you're like, they're a Christian band.
Like, so I'll say, and U2. Like
U2,
I was like, you guys, U2 is y'all. I love U2. And by the way, did you know they're Christian?
Yep.
They started out
Oh boy, the amount of times I said sentences like that to people. You really like POD? Were you aware that they're a Christian band?
Oh, that was one of my favorite ones to reveal to people. I'm like, oh, do you like this song that I'm playing in here? Oh, that's great. They're a Christian band.
Because like I never really enjoyed very much contemporary Christian music, honestly. Like I rocked out.
It's usually fairly lame.
I did enjoy an occasional Amy Grant song, and I dug some of Stephen Curtis Chapman, right?
Of course,
yeah.
Of course.
Stephen Curtis Chapman had one song called Dive that the opening notes of it is like embedded in my brain because it was just like a bum, bum, bum. Oh. And I'm like, I'll just be like walking through my day and hearing that like triumphant intro as I walk into a room.
Yeah, like an anthem.
Yeah.
He has this song, I actually still really like it, called I Will Be Here. And I cry whenever I listen to it because it's very sweet.
Dude, there are a handful of those Christian ballads where it's like written from the perspective of Jesus that just on the right day it'll just like get you.
Yeah.
Right. But like
it'll
didn't really
sneak
care.
up and get you, and you're like, I still feel sad.
I still have tears for this.
Yeah, no, that one is the closest to like mainstream that he's got, I think. And like, but I mean, I didn't really, and so U2 I really loved because I knew their background started sort of more religious than not. So I'd be like, U2's awesome. Did you know they started as a Christian band? Because like DC Talk, I was like, yeah, they're cool, but I didn't really enjoy.
I think you went the right way with those. I think you went the right way with those. Just how everybody ended up.
One of those bands is still really cool, and that band is U2. All right, question number 6. Have you ever asked somebody, how's your relationship with Jesus?
I will say yes, but the way that I grew up in the Church of Christ, which not to be confused with Church of Christ, Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, that's different. Right. This is Church of Christ. We would say, how's your relationship with God, which essentially is,
I would say same,
because Jesus is God incarnate, right?
Yeah.
So
I think that works. I think that checks out. It's that vibe of like, I would say that question is like, if we were to rewrite it for year 2, it would be like, did you ever ask someone if they were praying on it when they told you about something terrible that happened?
Right,
like, it's that energy. Like
it's the like if someone says something concerning to you, like how's your relationship? Like, are you praying? Like, it's one of those like, I want to check in on your religiosity at this moment to see how much I go in or out.
Yeah. I want to make sure the world's not tempting you too hard. All right, question number 7. You know what? Everything I know about you, Heidi, I have never been more confident that someone is going to answer yes to a question just knowing you. Question number 7. Did you ever participate in an awkward youth play in front of the church?
Oh my God. So many. And in college, which I did go to, I was, back to that Christian college episode y'all did. I know I was supposed to weigh in on that too. And then the scheduling thing, but I listened to it. And your guy was so cool and interesting. I was actually part of like a sketch comedy team at Harding University that was very much like about, being a Christian and like the things you run into. And like I did that. I did little sketches in front of church.
I was going to say, there's no world that a young Heidi Cox didn't immediately volunteer for the youth plays.
Yeah, we were called Fishers of Men.
Oh, of course you were. Of course you were. Question number 8. We were talking about tears being shed, but have you ever held up your hand while listening to worship music?
You know what? I did, but I got to say, it took me a long time to get to a place where I felt
comfortable to do that.
Like a weirdo. I felt like a weirdo doing it. And then eventually when I was at camp or when I was at school in college, those were the times I was like, okay, I'm there, I'm doing it. And I feel it.
Yeah, I feel like I got pulled into the peer pressure of it during like Creation Fest. Going to like one of those giant music festivals where everyone's doing it and you're just like, okay, yeah, I guess this is what I'm supposed to also be doing right now. I'm really feeling it.
Whenever I did it though, I never felt great about the one hand going up.
You did the two hands.
I had to do it was almost kind of like it was like me shrugging, but just like I'm non-committal, but sure, because I don't want to put one hand up because that feels weird in any direction or angle.
Yeah, so like I was a reluctant hand raiser, but I did it. I did it also because the church I grew up in was like women weren't supposed to be doing a whole lot of like stuff that would draw attention to them,
right?
At that time. So, but yeah, I definitely did it.
All right, question 9. I think we're gonna have to give you a half point on this one based on an answer earlier. But did you ever try to convince a friend to listen to a Christian artist by saying that they were as good, if not better, than a popular mainstream band? It sounds a little bit more like you were like, hey, this popular mainstream band is actually Christian, by the way.
Yeah, I have. I think I have. Because like other people I knew like listened to those bands and I'd be like, well, let me tell you.
Well, let me tell you who's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're so really into Duncan Sheik. Have you tried Stephen Curtis Chapman?
Exactly. Oh God, Duncan Sheik and his nasal voice.
All right. And the last question, kind of the one that's the most guaranteed yes when we do this, second only to have you ever identified as a Christian. Do you ever wake up some nights in a cold sweat thinking about something you said or did when you were at your most religious?
Oh my God. Probably every day.
Yeah.
Probably every day.
You just have those random memories that pop into your brain. You're like, I can't believe I said that to a human being.
I was a judgy McJudgerson for a while there.
Can't
the
imagine.
church builds them, man.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
That is a factory for judgment.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is ironic, really.
It says judge not yet lest ye be judged, right? But then you're just like, did you just curse? What did you just say?
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Kind of, yeah.
PC police.
No, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so now we've got, congratulations, you've joined the 100% club. It's a good way. So Christian camp. So are we talking about overnight summer camps? Or are we talking about like they show up in the morning and leave by the afternoon camps?
Oh no, we're talking about overnight for a week.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
wow.
I went for multiple weeks too.
Yeah.
But every week was different group from usually different churches.
And were you an attendee or a counselor or both?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. It's actually where I met Megan Green, who I started Dweeb Darlings with.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know what Dweeb Darlings is, and I don't expect anyone to know, it's my production company where I produce like this little comedy series that was nerdy about a couple girls that are obsessed with LeVar Burton, thinking he was their best friend, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so Megan, she went to a church in Paducah, Kentucky, and I went to a church in Greenville, South Carolina, and we would all go to second week of Palmetto Bible Camp. And it was a big, popular week, and usually known to be one of the better weeks. There was a lot more going on. There were a lot more people there, and like Megan was just so funny, and we clicked right away. And she was one of my maids of honor.
I was gonna say, I think I got to know Meg really at your wedding. Like I had met her once or twice before, but her and her husband were seated with me at the rehearsal dinner.
Yeah,
and I think it was
on the other
us.
Side.
Yeah, it was us and John got into like a huge like 90s Christian conversation that lasted most of the evening.
Just an aside too, because our friends Chris and Emily White were at the wedding, and they were the ones that Chris was the director and the writer, and Emily, his wife, produced Electric Jesus. Have you watched it?
I love Electric Jesus. Katie, have you ever seen Electric Jesus?
No, I haven't.
Electric Jesus is a really great indie film about a group of kids inspired by Stryper to form their own Christian metal band and tour like bars and like clubs.
Cool.
And it is so funny, but also so sugary, sweet, and charming. Like it is amazing.
But like really good. And like if you're like one of us, 100%er, you're going to get a lot of the references. Sure. It's kind of like watching Righteous Gemstones, but less like over the top.
It's so funny. I can't watch that show. I understand how funny that show is. I really do. And like, it's not even that like I relate to it too much. It's just that I'm like, I just can't. I can't do it. Yeah. I just can't do it.
It's that these people truly exist aspect where you're just like,
and
it's hard.
I freaking love Edie Patterson. Like Edie Patterson was at the Groundlings when I was, and like she's amazing and so freaking talented.
She's so funny.
Yeah, she's very funny.
Well, Danny McBride, like they shoot it in like Charleston as well. They like he's in South Carolina, but I wasn't part of a mega church, so I don't think I knew anybody like that. But there's just enough sprinkled in there that you're like, like prayer pods and things like that.
Yeah,
like
it's the stuff that they check off where you're like, I think a lot of it is Adam Devine's character. Adam Devine is like the youth leader who's desperately trying to connect with the kids, but has no clue what he's talking about. Like,
he's the one that's also gay, right?
He's also gay too throughout the show. Yeah. Like but you know, we talked about it like he embodies that lyric that we were obsessed with on the Selmer album with the song Youth Group, where it says a loser in a button-up can't send you to hell.
100%.
Like, 100%. Like, and like that is his character embodied. I think is just like this guy's such a dork.
I'm pretty sure I pictured him, especially because it was just like it's so similar. But that's so interesting too, especially because like what was the kind of things that you would do at your Christian camp?
Like what was your most excited activities to do? Like when you're like gearing up for it,
and like did you have to wear certain clothing? Like did you have to wear like specific shirts and stuff, and like can't show shoulders or?
Yeah, was it like one piece bathing suit only type situation? Because we still deal with that on the missions trip. They're like, no.
One piece back then, and I don't know if the rules changed. I will find out this summer in June when I go to visit. But it was girls swam separately at a different time than the guys.
Wow!
Too. And like, but I never swam because
protecting that temptation.
Actually, on this, I'm going up there to visit it because I want Jonathan to see how beautiful the property is. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's in the mountains that are like half an hour from where I live, or where I lived, and there's this giant. Well, it's not giant, but it's like a lake where there's like you can take little kayaks out and boats and things, and it's small enough to where it's not so scary. But I don't want to swim in that water.
Okay,
no, I'm not a lake swimmer. You're never have been, never will be.
Not an RFK. You're not going to go in that raw sewage.
No, not.
They baptize people in there, that and stuff. Which,
how many infections came out of that camp?
Not that many, I don't think.
Oh, blessed by the Lord.
I was just kind of grossed out by the water. I mean, honestly, the thing that got me to go the first time I ever went was the fact that they had horses. I was all about that. I was like 9 years old, and that's
that's a secret sauce right there. That's gonna get some people in the door.
Mine was archery, and I was I ended up doing archery quite a bit after camp. But we didn't have like animals or anything at our camp. We just kind of had structures and cabins. And that was it.
Well, Eventually, like the horses weren't there as often or at all.
Okay.
But that's what got me there, and I got real involved with that, and I helped with that. And what what was I? So, like, as I got older, the thing I really loved the most. I mean, you're asking about like activities. Sure, like we called them devotionals. We'd have like little devos.
Oh, sure.
But now when I say devo, I think
As you should. As you should.
yeah. But it just felt good. Like I grew up being bullied quite a bit in school. I went to public school. And kids were mean. They were really mean to me. I had a little bit of not a little bit, a very chaotic upbringing, especially on one side of my family. There was a lot of anger, there was violence, and I had a lot of hypervigilance and just was very sensitive. And the people at camp were just really kind. And they always wanted to give you hugs, which now in hindsight could sound creepy, but at the time it was just like, yay, hugs. Like, and I never experienced anything creepy like that as a kid. I mean, as I got older and became an adult, sometimes stuff like that.
But I get it. I am, as all of you know, I am team hug. Like it is very hard. Anytime I go to anywhere, man, woman, child, I'm like, can I give you a hug right now? Like, cause that's just, I like there's something about a hug that says like, I care about you. Like I truly give a shit about you and how you're feeling right now. And I do think that like that if we're going to talk about some of the positive things that being in a youth group or like a good youth group and a good church camp that like is doing what it's supposed to be doing, it is building that natural empathy to read the room and say this person needs somebody to just make them feel loved in this moment.
Yeah.
And they
like,
did that.
Yeah.
And I think people could read that in me, and they were drawn to me as opposed to grossed out by me and like wanting to mess with me, which is different than the school crowd.
I produce a podcast for a nonprofit that's all about like youth outreach and stuff like that. And we had a group of kids from a program called More Than Fitness that's like for at-risk youth. It's an after-school program where they like hang out with an adult leader who will like help them work out, and they'll teach them how to weight lift properly, or they'll play basketball. They'll do like physical activities because maybe like they go home and their parents aren't home just yet, and it can lead to trouble. And we were having them talk about like why they liked doing this program. And this little 7th grade kid, trying not to cry while I'm recording this podcast in front of these kids, and he says, you know, I used to think everybody hated me because everyone is so mean to me at school. And now I have a place that I go where I feel like people truly love and care about me and celebrate my successes. And I was just like,
Aww.
I'm like, that is like what, if like as much as Christian Cringe is a comedy podcast about like the icky, awkward stuff that we may or may not have done in our youth, I do think that it is important to celebrate like, yes, some of this actually made us the good people that we are today because it trained us to pay attention to people who are hurting and be a shoulder to those people.
Yeah, and I really needed it at the time. So like while I do have issues now with certain types of organized religion or whatever, like I have very fond memories of this place. And I don't know, I like, you asked me what like activities, you know, I did like devotionals because I really love to sing, and I'm a singer, and part of it's because of church and because of camp, because Church of Christ, no musical instruments.
Yeah.
So we learn 4-part harmony. Like if you have the aptitude for it and you pick up on it, like you learn 4-part harmony, and like I loved that. It felt so good. Like it was something like even now I love to sing. It just feels good to me. So I loved that. I loved just being around what felt like a giant hug all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, with, you know, setting aside all the judgment and stuff, I just have a little bit of a, like my husband, he'll look at things like that sometimes and be like, oh yeah, but they think this and this and this and this. And I'm like, not everybody does. Not everybody's like that.
Well, and I think that's kind of the biggest point of this podcast too, is that we want to take the good and the bad and like show it, because it's not necessarily as one-sided as it's very clearly trying to be right now.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, especially like I know I bring up Five Iron Frenzy all of the goddamn time on this show, but like sitting down and talking to two of those members and hearing how much they are not what like the mainstream opinion of a Christian is, and they're just like so outspoken about everything that's happening in the world of like white nationalism and like and it's like no, some people actually do remember what the teaching of Jesus was. Like some people still got that locked in, they still have like memories of that. What was the transition like going from being an attendee to being a counselor?
Oh my gosh. I was really excited to transition to counselor because like they all stayed up, like they didn't have to go to bed and like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was so excited to do that because like the summer nights in South Carolina, like there's mosquitoes, or as we call them, skeeters, you know, but still it was like so fun. I can remember staying out really late one night with Megan and like a group of our friends, and we were just in the dining hall, and there was like a little tiny opening into the storage part of the kitchen, and we dared her to spit through the opening just to go get some pickles, you know, weird stuff like that. We had like walkie talkies, and also I liked being with the, like, you know, being a counselor over like these little kids who were so sweet, you know.
How old were you when you changed over to
what was the
counselor?
age when you become a counselor?
I was 18.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because some of those camps, it is like the 14, 15, 16-year-old. So I wasn't sure what it was there.
I think I was like 16 or 17 when I first became a counselor at camp. Yeah.
No, I was still a camper up until my senior year of high school when I graduated, and then I became a counselor, and all my other friends, because I was always friends with like older kids too. And so I was super excited to do that. And you asked about dress code. So shorts could not be shorter than 2 inches above the knee. And then like tank top straps had to be 2 inches thick, you know. And we would get talking tos about, especially with girls.
A good
They'd
talking
give us
to.
talking to. They'd be like, you know, this man, I'm not going to say who, but this elder, and in Church of Christ, elders are like, they're kind of like the leaders of the different congregations.
Like
so they're
deacons.
like older men.
Yeah.
Well, the deacons are technically like not below, but like deacons like the next down. Like there's deacons and then there's elders. Elders make the main decisions about things, and deacons are kind of involved with that too. It's all men.
Okay.
You know, I don't know.
Of course.
I think some congregations have changed. I think the one that my mom attends, the one I grew up in, is starting to change. There's a lot more women in ministry now. But back then, I remember one of them telling one of the older women that they were so embarrassed because they could see part of our bra. Somebody, you know, it was just very embarrassing. And, you know, they put a lot of the responsibility on the girls and the women for not causing your brother to stumble.
Yeah.
And things like that. Those are things that I have issues with.
We had a conversation very recently at the youth group that I work at, which it's embarrassing to a certain extent that we like even still had this rule in 2024, but we finally were like, for the longest time it was like you have to wear a one piece, or if you're wearing a two piece you have to wear a shirt over the two piece. And like finally when we got a new youth leader, she's like, so the guys can be shirtless but the girls can't show any belly? And they're like, yeah, those are the rules. She's like, not the rules anymore.
I love it.
She's like, that's absolutely insane and sexist, and we're not doing that. Like,
that's really cool.
I'm like, good. I'm glad that someone finally said it, because I was thinking that. I'm like, I feel like it's weird that the guys are basically naked down to a pair of swim trunks,
shorts,
and that's not looked at as being tempting towards the girls, that they're like running around shirtless and playing basketball or whatever. But God forbid a girl's just swimming, it's like, oh, you seductress,
right?
Yeah.
It's
and it carried over. I mean, the reason I chose to go to Christian college, which I went to Harding University, it's in Searcy, Arkansas. It's actually kind of affiliated with Pepperdine, but a lot more conservative, was because of camp. I knew people from camp who went to Harding, and I was like, wait, I could go to a school where people are nice to me and want to hug me all the time and like aren't mean.
I sign me up now in my 30s.
Yeah. And I went, and you know what? I learned a lot. And, you know, I was kind of laughing at your Christian college episode because what was your professor's name?
Akamoto, Scott.
Yeah. So he was talking about how they had chapel how many times a week?
3 times a week.
We went every morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every morning, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And if you missed, you did get put on probation. You did, like, you could only have like a certain number of absences without having like a doctor's note or something like that. But every morning, or it was 9 a.m. I think it was there.
So,
I think it was 9
that's
a.m. every morning.
It's a lot of church.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also it also
I
feels
used-
like a reinforcement type of thing, especially when it's more than 3 times a week, and even 3 times a week was a lot. But when it's more than it almost feels like you have to say the Pledge of Allegiance here, guys.
Yeah.
But to God.
I think about that because at the school I work at right now, because substitute teaching is kind of like my little side hustle that's kind of turned into a not so side hustle
becoming a main job.
At the moment, yeah. They do the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, and I'm like, I look around, a lot of the kids don't do it, and I'm like, you know what? That's your right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't have to.
I think I started exercising that right in like 6th grade. I was like, I don't really believe most of the things that we say in this pledge. I don't think I'm going to do this anymore.
I remember when I finally started realizing what I was saying during the Pledge of Allegiance. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like chapel for me was kind of, I liked it because it was like, I used to be like, oh, what a great way to start the day. I feel so in touch with God.
Sure.
And like,
Who needs coffee? I got Christ.
Yeah. That's a mug you can sell.
That's a mug we're going to sell on the store.
You're so cringy, Matt. You're so cringy. But yeah, so I mean, camp was the catalyst for me going to a Christian college. And, I learned a lot from both places. I still appreciate a lot of things about them. And then there are other things that I'm like, meh, okay.
I want to ask, because you were explaining that like the church that you attended was a little bit more on the conservative side, like you said, not quite on Latter-day Saints level, but
Church of Christ.
So like when I think of the closest thing I have for comparison is, like I said, like going on a weekend retreat or going on a missions trip. But like using the weekend retreat as an example, it was, we'd wake up, we'd do a quick devotion, we'd play a bunch of games, we would, maybe go swimming, like you said, or something else. And it was like, I would say like 50 or maybe even 60% like games and goofing around, and then like 40% like the devotions and the religious stuff. Was that about the same breakdown, or was it a lot more leaning towards the like devotions and like maybe you'll get a couple hours to like go swimming and have fun?
It depended on the week you attended. The week that I like to go to, which is called Super Week. I don't know if it's still called that, but I think it is. It's kind of known as Super Week because all the like the church from Kentucky would come down and all, like it was just like a lot of people. There was much less free time. And I was a little bummed about that because I liked free time because I like to visit with my friends, you know. But it seems like I remember breakfast, morning devotion, split off into age group Bible studies, then split off into something else. Then you go to lunch. And then after lunch, I feel like there was some free time before there was an evening devotion and dinner and stuff like that. And then that, like, so that particular week, I think there was less free time. But some weeks you go, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
And, there was a ton of stuff to do. Like you could go out on the lake, you could swim, you could, sometimes there were hikes because it's just near, it's in the like,
yeah, you're also like in the beautiful area of the United States. There's so much to see and do.
Right there at the Blue Ridge Mountains, like that's where they start, the Appalachian Mountains and everything. And so gorgeous scenery, waterfalls that you could hike up to. We would do that sometimes. There was a craft shack where you could go make crafts if you wanted,
Did you make your own WWJD bracelets at the craft shack? Or was that just me?
I did not.
Oh, really?
That's
actually
missed opportunity.
Oh, yeah. We did it's like the plastic string that you would like cross stitch into like a big chunky bracelet, and then you would put the beads that said WWJD on it.
That's so cool. No, I didn't do that, but I just really it really speaks volumes about what I was going through because I really needed the social connection with people. I really just wanted to visit with people and like connect with them because I was starving for it.
Yeah.
It was just, and I think that's how a lot of people get drawn into certain religions and things.
There is a little bit of that predator aspect of like, oh, there's someone who's hurting.
Yeah, which
Like, let's get them. Yeah,
it feels like it would be great if there's like a therapy camp. But at the same time, that's not rehab. But But I totally agree with you because Heidi, my childhood was also pretty rough growing up, and I remember I would get so excited to go to camp, I would like throw up on the way there because I would be like that kid that got so excited because it was just like you could go, you knew when your meals were, you could go, you had to be friends with the kids in your cabin because you were lining up with them for breakfast, lunch, dinner every single day. And then, we would have like the breakout to like devotionals and whatnot. And then every night would be like singing with a guitar around a campfire, all of the songs.
Devotional songs, and then like even like old hymns. Like I started developing appreciation for the old hymns too.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
It is mind-blowing
and heartbreaking
how many original scripts are written every year but are never made.
So we seek out these scripts and bring them to life with full audio production and professional actors.
Check us out at Undiscovered Scripts,
Movies made of paper,
wherever you get your podcasts.
free.
like I said, I'm going to continue to use like retreats and mission trip as my approximation.
Sure.
And a big thing on a lot of those, I'm curious if the church camps that you guys both went to did this, was the talent show at the end of the week. Like, oh, like anybody can come up and show off their talents. Did you guys have those at the camps?
Yes. And also yes, let me say, there's another, I want to put a pin in the other thing that I'm thinking about for the last night at camp. But yes, because when I became part of staff, there was like this group of guys, young guys that were like, and they're like, they're anywhere between 18 and 25, and they called them the engineers. Mm-hmm. And like, they weren't counselors. They like fix things and put things together and like would, set stuff up, and they all walked around with these walkie-talkies, and everybody thought they were so cool. It was just dudes.
Yeah.
And
just like fixing hinges or something.
Yeah, or like they were just the ones
they were janitors.
They
were the cool guys.
Pretty much. But like Megan and I decided to do a sketch for that talent thing, and I can't remember if it was like a Thursday night or a Friday night. We got together all the girls that were the same age range, and we did impressions of these guys.
Ah, how fun!
And Megan and I were teaching everybody, okay, observe your engineer, facial expressions, how they hold their body.
Oh my God, you created the Fielder method.
And like, it was huge. They loved it when we did that. So yeah, that definitely happened. I also sang in a band for the opening once of a one week where we were singing like devotional songs, like worship team stuff, but it wasn't part of the actual worship service because no instrumental music.
Right
back then. So yeah, there's that. And then at our camp, there was always like Friday night, you got banquet. Who you gonna go to banquet with? Who you taking to banquet?
This is like a prom for Christian camp?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, banquet.
But you weren't dressed up that fancy. You would just wear like a nicer shirt and maybe some jeans or something.
Yeah.
So But yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Katie? Did you ever do a talent show performance at your camp that you remember?
Yeah, it was usually like the beginning of the week we would do something, and then at the end of the week it would be like the counselors would do some kind of a show that, like, it was like inside jokes from each cabin, and they would put something on or something like that. But the one thing that we did do that was big for our church camp was we played a game called Underground Church. Do either of you know this game?
No.
No.
So the way Underground Church worked is the counselors would play the Romans and all of the kids would play the Christians. And we had to find the one counselor that had the password to get into the Underground Church. And this was all at night. This was all lights out type of thing. We were running around like big
This
rolling
is like
hills.
a psychotic version of Capture the Flag, but like with horrible religious and historical overtones.
I know. Let me tell you about the one time I fucked it up. So basically what would happen is you had to work with all of the kids in the camp to try and figure out what the password was to get into the underground church, and then tell all of the kids in the camp, and then we would go there, and then we would get into the underground church, and then we would win. But the counselors, the Romans, all they needed was one person to get the right password, then go to the other counselor, tell them the password, and then they would win. And inevitably, it was always the counselors winning, because it was just kind of like, okay, it's getting late, we all need to go to bed, whatever. One year, there was a counselor that was shorter than I was and looked like a kid. And when you're running around camp with your like flashlights off and whatnot and trying to dodge counselors who would send you to jail, this one person was like, okay, I found the underground church, but do you know the password? I was like, oh yeah, I do. And I gave her the password, and then she turned her like, this was so movie moment. She turned her flashlight on, showed her face, and I realized she was the counselor, and she's like, thanks for that, and took off running. And I was like, no. And then the counselors ended up winning. They called everybody to like the main like mess hall or whatever, and everybody knew that I was the one that gave the password away and like shamed me for it. They're like, I can't believe you did that, Katie. How did you not know it was her? I was like, she's small. She said she was a camper. And
that's not fair.
I remember being so devastated about this that like we would watch a movie afterwards if it was like early enough, and it was the first time I watched The Princess Bride, like hiding under a table, just being shamed that I gave it away and I ruined it for all the Christians.
Oh, I hope that didn't taint your enjoyment of Princess Bride.
Did
which,
not.
Side note, did the church camps love that movie?
They really did. It was like the one G-rated movie that you could like show, and like it wasn't like concerning whatsoever. It had action, it had romance, and it didn't have anything with Jesus. I became obsessed with that movie, and when I was a kid, I didn't know what it was called. I had no idea what it was, and I like had to like search through. Not the internet, because not at that time was I attached to the internet, but I had to like talk to everybody and be like, what is this movie? I don't know who these people are. That one guy has a voice that I totally remember, and like there's a real big guy. And yeah, I ended up figuring it out, and I love that movie.
It's still great.
Yeah.
It's still great.
For me, it was all, I loved Fred Savage. So I was like,
yes. Yes.
So Heidi, I'm curious, how many years combined as attendee and counselor do you think you went to camp?
Gosh, it had to have been like at least 12, 13, 14 years.
That's amazing.
A lot.
That's awesome.
A lot. Yeah, I loved it.
How old were you when you went to the first camp?
9.
9. Wow.
9
So
years
we're
old.
like, you were past college a little bit for at least one of those.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
for a few, I was actually. I think it was longer. It was more than 12. It was.
That's
a lot.
fantastic, though. I
Yeah.
love that you found a home away from home, even if it was just for the summer. That like you had to depend on. I think that that's really important, especially at that age.
And especially
There's definitely plenty of cringe involved. Sorry.
No, for sure. I mean, listen,
that's-
it's all cringe involved, but
It's kinda nice sometimes
I like
to
that
take
this
a
is
break.
a nice episode.
Yeah.
Like, I truly do like that this is like a nice, wholesome episode about the good, like, because we do need those once in a while, that
Yeah.
there were like good times.
Yeah.
Like,
No, there were. And it's funny listening to you talk about your activity that made me so sad. But like all these memories
yeah.
are flooding back. Where the other reason it was called Super Week was because they would put on these big productions. And sometimes I was part of them when I became staff. But I have this memory of the engineer guys because they would always be in like these funny sketches where they'd reenact certain things from the Bible. And I can't remember the exact reason they were doing I think it was isn't it the furnace, like where they're all worshiping
Rack Shack.
Baal?
Meshach and
Oh my god,
Abednego.
I can't remember their actual name. I was going to say the VeggieTales
Shadrach,
one of
Meshach, and
Rack Shack and Benny.
Rack Shack and Betty. Yeah, Rack Shack and Betty.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yes.
And like, isn't it that they're everyone's worshiping Baal? Isn't
Something
that,
like that.
Or is that
And they're being thrown
Yeah.
into the fire.
Yeah, because they're not worshiping Baal or something. So the engineer guys were the ones that were like imitating the people worshiping this idol, and they had this whole little chant where they'd be like, "Whoa, worship Baal," and like it got stuck in our heads all week. They would always do like these really cool like reenactments of things. I mean, one time there was like a reenactment of like Jesus, like making his way to, with like, carrying the cross. There's some pretty rough stuff that they do. But there was just like you could be outside and like you see like we're in this area where you could see like the Milky Way. Do you know what I mean? Like the thickness of the Milky Way
And the actual
sky.
like lighting of it, like
Yeah.
not being destroyed by like actual
City lights.
non-traditional
Yeah.
light.
Yeah. It's just like you feel so, now I would call it one with nature. Like,
Yeah.
it's a spiritual experience to be in nature for me now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just back then I was like, oh, I'm so close to God. And like, I understand a little better now, like what the deal was with me. But yeah, it's perfectly cringy in many, many ways. I remember when like the emotions get so high because you're teenagers and stuff like that. And I can remember one year, a guy who had only been like, you always have like a girlfriend or a boyfriend for the summer often.
Yeah.
I didn't always, but there was always someone I had a crush on.
Sure.
And I remember this one couple that had just met there. The guy decided to propose to her like in front of everyone. Like, it was very...
How young?
Oh, like 18, 19.
Oh, did she
bad
say
call.
yes? Yeah.
She did, but then of course the leaders talked to them
Yeah.
and like, it was like, hey guys, like really when you're in that environment as a Christian, a lot of times you want to get married just because you want to,
Yep.
like that's
We-
that's a big reason.
You made
for
a
it.
promise.
Yeah.
You got to save space when you're dancing. You got to make some room for the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean?
No dancing in Church of Christ. Nope.
Okay, well then.
But what'd you do
What
at
did you
banquet?
do at the banquet?
Yeah.
You didn't dance. You didn't. It was just you had dinner and then you hung out and then there was a devotional and that was it.
Oh,
but it was
They
wow.
couldn't even let you get through banquet without a devotional.
even at Harding, which is also Church of Christ school, there's technically no dancing, but musical theater and all this stuff, they just called it choreography. And honestly, when we were there, we laughed about it too.
Yeah.
And so many people that went didn't think there was anything wrong with dancing or instrumental music. It was just kind of like,
What was expected?
this was, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I was almost cast in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers one year for the Homecoming musical, which is a big deal at Harding. And there's a ton of partner dancing in that. So much, But I ended up doing Man of La Mancha the following year or something.
I still think about to the episode that you were almost on with the Christian colleges episode. I still regularly think about Katie talking about being in the Music Man and being told to not say Balzac so much like the word ballsack. Like it's so funny to me. Where it's like that is literally the joke of the
It's
song.
exactly the
Like,
joke of it all. Yeah, I know. And that was my favorite
Funny.
thing. Like, I had minor rebellions all throughout my Christian experiences, but like that was one of the
Sure.
ones that I was like, no, that's the freaking joke, so I'm gonna punch that. And I just kept pretending like I didn't hear what it was I was
I'm
saying.
not quite I just don't understand the note. I'm sorry.
Good for you.
How am I saying
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's so funny. Like, I wasn't in it, but my freshman year at Harding, they did Camelot, and they took out that whole Lusty Month of May song. It was gone.
Of course. Yeah.
Yep.
Stuff like that would happen.
I do have a question for you, especially, we're about to hit the hour. We can start to wind it down, but I'm curious, it sounds like right now, as we're talking, you have definitely, I would say, still have fond memories of camp and look back on it positively. When you first started to like kind of walk that line with like where your faith was, did you look back negatively at those camp days, or was because you felt like such a sense of community, did that always feel like it was very safe and protected even when you were going through like a questioning phase?
That's a good question. I think maybe both. Because there are certain things that bother me even now. Like, for example, a personality like mine who, I'm a codependent personality, 100%. And I've had to really watch that, like, as an enabling personality, codependent. Like, I got into a relationship with a really abusive man for 6 years when I moved out here. And it wasn't really the first time. He was just the most abusive one that I'd ever been with. And it was very dangerous. The problem I had with Christianity, and I still have at times, is like the whole, turn the other cheek thing.
Yeah.
Because that can be
weaponized very easily.
Well, because if you're Catholic, you've got like priests and different people to explain things to you. The church I grew up in, it encouraged you to have your own relationship with God, interpret the Bible, read the Bible, ask for guidance, pray with God. You don't need like anyone to intervene for you. I mean, you can ask people to pray for you or something you're going through. But like, to me, that was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm supposed to take it from people. And it was like, if you're kind to your enemies, you're going to heap coals of fire onto their head. And I'm like, that's not true for people who are narcissistic or psychopaths.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't care if you're kind to them. It does not heap coals of fire onto their head. They're like, oh, cool, thanks. And they're just going to take. And you're supposed to continually put people ahead of yourself and do everything unto the glory of God. And you're not taught to value your own worth, that if you're going by what they're saying, you were created by this being that you're supposed to revere. So why would you not revere things about yourself? So I had very low confidence. I thought that I was supposed to just suffer in a way. I don't know. It's so hard to explain. I have a really good friend that I went to Harding with who wrote an amazing book called Gaslighted by God. Her name is Tiffany Yaki Brooks.
I love that title.
I have an extra copy. I will happily send it to you. And she's amazing. She's such an academic, and she's actually gone to seminary now and has like started like ministering. Right. So, but there's a lot of things about that if you have a specific type of personality, you can be walked all over.
Boy, can you. They make you feel, I know what you're talking about, because it's like they almost make you feel like almost like you're a martyr for going through all of that suffering. Like, oh no, see,
and that's a good thing.
This is how much God loves you, is their challenge. He's challenging you to prove how, they want you to all be Job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
and there's almost a part where you revere it in your own self. I mean, I know there were like parts where things were getting like rough or whatever, and I was like, no, this is just God testing me. And I would be like, yay, more suffering. Instead of just being like, hey, maybe this is kind of fucked up and like we should say something out loud and louder.
Yeah, because like I even remember like I actually I spoke in chapel my senior year during a week called Struggles with the Faith. Of course, they had to separate my speech from the actual devotional because I was a woman. But the funny thing was that the person that I requested introduce me, he was one of my favorite professors, and he's still there, and his name is Stephen Fry, and his name is Stephen Fry, like that. But he is a wonderful person who is very involved in the theater part of the school, and after I spoke, he's like the leeway to the devotional. He actually said a prayer right after I spoke, which was a big deal because I was a woman and he was closing out my talk. But anyway, so I talked about my experience with violence and abuse and like what I went through and like how my parents weren't together anymore. And I got like notes in my mailbox at college. Like you could like mail little like postcards to people on campus very easily. And this one guy was like, well, I mean, I know your parents are divorced, but I mean, it does say that we're supposed to do everything for him and stay married. And like, you know, your parents probably shouldn't have been divorced, even if there was like
fuck all the way off, sir.
Right.
Listen,
Yeah,
if you've never been
it.
prepared for like a comment section, just go to Christian college where they can mail you whatever comes, what thought comes across their brain. It's what an unasked for.
Right. And not everyone felt that way, but there are people that are like, well, even if you're in danger, you shouldn't get divorced because, you know, you're supposed to be willing to die for him.
Right.
You know, so that kind of mentality really messed with me. And I rebelled a little too. Like like in my own way, like I argued with my professor. We always had to take a Bible class every semester.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm veering away from camp a little bit. It's kind of, but
no, it's fine.
It's connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to one of our friends the other day, telling him about Jeremy Miller from Growing Pains. Name drop. It's just such a trip to me.
There's something over there. You got to pick it up.
Right?
Look out for my feet.
Such a trip to me. I used to watch him on TV, and now he's like holding my baby. It's really weird. But we were talking about like, you know, because he grew up. His mom was like Mormon or something, and so I would argue with I remember arguing with my Bible professor one semester, and he'd be like, "Well," and his name was Dr. Clower, very sweet man. Wrote the textbook for his class, and just talking about how, well, women are real good with children, and that's what they're supposed to do. It says, you know, Paul writes in the letters that you're not supposed to have any authority over a man. And, you know, if you watch a woman, they're just so wonderful with children. And I raised my hand. Excuse me, Dr. Clower. Yes. What if you can't have children? Or you're not married and you don't have children? Well, you know, women can also teach children. And I'm like, what if you don't really get along with children? Like, I was always sort of challenging that. And he found it interesting and entertaining, I think. And I think, honestly, he appreciated the fact that I was bringing that stuff up because he was like, yeah, you know, you ask a lot of good questions. But it was that kind of thing. And I don't mean to imitate him in like a disrespectful way because he was a sweet man. But it was just that kind of mentality that really bothered me. The stuff about women has always bothered me. The things about like, you know, turn the other cheek and I'm trying to remember the specific like verse that I'm thinking of. But there's a few of them.
I can't remember where this came up. I feel like it was definitely something where it was Katie and I podcasting, and it was probably Christian Cringe, but
it might have
Katie,
been anything.
I'm sure you'll agree. We do so many things now on Geekscape that they all bleed together. But we were
listen
talking.
to Geekscape Network.
Yeah, I know that voice.
Hey, wait a minute.
But like we were talking about that idea of like, I do think it's healthy to quote unquote forgive and forget, but not for the benefit of the person who's been hurting you. For you to get that off of your shoulders, nothing says that you need to continue to be in that person's life, even after you've quote unquote forgiven and forgotten. You know what I mean? I suggest people to forgive and forget because I think holding on to that is like just holding a cancer inside of your body that just burrows in there. Yeah. But like, you don't ever need to bring that. And that's the thing that church misses. Like they treat it like, hey, this person may have beat you up, but not only are you supposed to forgive and forget them, you should try to actually become their best friend and hang out with them all the time.
It's damaging
that's not healthy.
Too.
That's not good.
I think, and that was one of the things that I think I full-heartedly agree is that not only does the church like teach like a certain version of basically don't worry about it, even though it's like directly in your face and like something that happened specifically to you. But go make friends. And it's just so damaging and like hurtful to like have leaders say, hey, return back to the abuse and become their friend because then you now have an opportunity to show them a better way while being essentially beat up on. And
Yeah.
it's not something that I think is very overt, but it's a big theme when the church talks to women, especially, is like, you know, you have to be nurturing, you have to go back, you have to deal with the children, you have to do this, you have to do that. And there's sort of these weird landmarks that aren't encompassing the entire experience or the humanity between two people. And I think that's where Christianity gets community wrong, because it is very good at creating community and getting you hyped up and like having the fun, you know, superfluous like sketches and things and all that. But when it comes to actually facing issues or confronting people with great issues, I think the church is terrible, especially with its advice towards women.
Yeah. Oh yeah, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Okay, but also they don't really teach you how to set the boundaries to keep you safe, you know, and that you almost end up feeling like you're this lowly sinner who, like, you know, is nothing without God. And if God isn't there in your life and you're not making God the priority, then you're not worth anything because you're full of all this sin. And that is where I really had to do a lot of work, you know, like,
Heidi,
and I will say that.
Have you heard of Taylor Tomlinson?
I have.
Okay. Have you watched her special where she talks about God as your like abusive ex-boyfriend?
Maybe I have.
If not, I'm gonna send you one of her specials for that, because it's very well written, it's very well performed. But it's I feel like the experience, especially of millennial women within the church.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's where I've had a lot of trouble, and that was where I had to do a lot of work and setting boundaries and being like, you know what, it's okay for me to be proud of myself, and okay for me to feel like I can be a quote unquote goddess. There are people in my family, I'm not going to name who, that would think that was very blasphemous of me. Very specific people that they know who they are if they're listening. But I don't believe that's true. I think it's okay to meditate. I think it's okay to practice yoga. Some people think that yoga poses are like evil, you know, and I have people
because then you might be feeling something in your nethers that you're not supposed to feel. One of my favorite things is the random comments that Kenneth the Page makes in 30 Rock, where he's like, someone's having a baby, and he's like, well, isn't the point for you to feel God's hate for you to give birth, or something like that?
Right, because Eve.
Yeah, and he's like, isn't the point for you to actually feel the pain? And it's so innocently said, and it's such a silly line, but it does feel like that. Like that does feel like it was the message. Like a portion of
it says in the Bible that it's her fault that Adam messed up, and that our punishment is the pain of childbirth. It says that. Here's where I run into issues.
That is gaslighting.
Okay, so and honestly, I have to be honest. I'm honestly scared about, like, I'll do it, but I'm scared about sharing this online, because there are people that are going to listen to me on this and are going to be really disappointed in the things I'm saying. There are still very traditional conservative people in my life, but I want to feel like there are even people in my family I'm afraid to tell them, like, hey, I am spiritual. I believe there is something. I do not believe that there is a being that is willing to throw me in a lake of fire because of who I love.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of any of that.
I've definitely shared this a million times on this show, but it was such an eye-opening expression of something that, like, you never know what's going to be someone's first episode. And it was listening to a rabbi explain what God is in the Jewish tradition. And it was like, oh, that's how I'm going to describe God from here on out. Which he was like, Christians constantly treat God like he is a large bearded man sitting on a throne in the clouds. And he's like, God is the unspoken moments in nature that connect us with the rest of the world. And I was like, oh my God. Like, that is
literally, oh my God.
Yeah. Like, he's like, that's why people feel they're most spiritual when they're like surfing and they feel connected with nature. It's like, it's that thing that keeps you tethered to the earth and thinking, not like when you look at something and go, this couldn't all be accidental. That is what God is like.
Sure.
And I'm like, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. And like the example he gave was like when you're at a wedding and everyone is dancing to the rhythm of the same song without speaking of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, that is like the analogy that he has for God. It's the thing that
That's
connects all.
beautiful.
And I'm like, I love that so much. And I think that if you start to think of all of the religion through that lens of that it's just about uniting all of us, I think that that is like an aha moment for people.
Sure.
Even people who might be super conservative listening to this that might be the aha moment for even them to be like, oh, I might be going about this wrong because I'm leaning so much into the division instead of the unite part of this.
Right.
And
Well, and I think that's a big message, especially for America in general right now, because it's been so divisive and it's been the face of white nationalism for so long in our own country that the definition of what religion, what God, what Jesus, whatever that thing is that people are searching and looking for has been skewed greatly by some terrible freaking people in our history right now.
They don't even believe what the teachings are. Like, I'm sorry.
No.
I would put $1 million that a certain person has never cracked a Bible in their life.
The one who was, when they asked them, like, oh, what's your favorite verse? They said,
All of
that's a very personal thing. I like all of them.
Of course.
Like,
No,
whatever.
he
Shut your face.
shat his pants in a freaking church. So
Listen.
No,
this-
I mean, I'll tell you, my favorite is Ephesians 1:3. I thank my God every time I remember you. I think that's lovely.
beautiful
That
right?
is. It's
really
it's like when you
nice.
ask someone their favorite band, like, oh, what songs do you like by that band? They're like, oh, they're all good. It's like you've
you've never
heard.
heard.
This band.
You've
And you're
never
like,
heard a song.
I like all the songs.
You don't even know what
I
it's
like all
from
the
the Bible.
Not to keep, I know we're getting, like, y'all want to wrap up, but just one other thing I
No,
wanted
for
to
sure.
say was just like one of the other reasons that I kind of stepped back, and maybe one of the reasons I subconsciously moved so far away from home, other than the fact that I wanted to, do film and TV, but was that when I was feeling incredibly depressed or down, or however you want to define it, where I felt like I felt hopeless. And the answer was to pray about it. And I remember there was a person in my family who that will remain nameless, that I would talk to, and they'd be like, well, did you pray about it? And I'm like, it's all I've done my whole life. And I'm still not getting the help that I need. Sure. Like the pain is still there.
Again,
And
it's a weird thing of like not being able to confront an actual issue, but just kind of gloss it over as forget about it, don't even worry, because it's all in God's plan or whatever. And
just pray about it.
Yeah, which is fine advice for someone who maybe needs to meditate. But when someone's saying, "Hey, this is going on," and just be told, "Pray about it," it's really disgusting.
It feels dismissive, and I know the person doesn't mean it that
of course
way,
not.
but it feels that way because maybe it solved something for them.
Of course.
But those are like my main issues, and I'm still working out like what I actually. I don't know, like what I really believe. I know that there's something. I do know. I feel certain there's something, whether it's a collective of all of us or like I don't know, but it's not like with Paul writing letters to the first century churches saying women can't do this and they need to ask their husbands when they get home if they have a question. And like,
I mean, if we really want to,
Paul's kind of a jerk.
if we want to break down Paul and his former self name of Saul, we could go deep into that. But like, Paul had some history.
But that's exactly why Jonathan was totally down for me having my darling, wonderful friend John Fugelsang as our officiant, because he
is
understands spirituality in a way that he can articulate it much better than me.
And him and I have already talked about him being on this show, which I think he will be a phenomenal addition to this podcast for sure. To promote his book, he's got a book coming out that just looks amazing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he and I can go back and forth and talk about. He knows more about the Bible than I do, and
he's the most knowledgeable person I've ever talked to about the Bible. Like it is insane how well he knows that book.
Dad was Franciscan brother, Mom was a nun. And then they both left those posts to be together, and and I remember like during our ceremony, we were gathering under the I don't know if he said it was the one religion that's welcome here is that of love, like that.
Yeah.
And that is definitely what we're about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's why I loved camp.
I was going to say, and speaking about love, we loved having you on the show today, Heidi. This was such a welcomed, I think, breath of fresh air from a lot of the like
cringy things.
Watching some like really rough kids entertainment from the 2000s. This
like
was
VeggieTales?
Bible Man.
No,
is
VeggieTales.
So bad.
We dream of the day we can go back to VeggieTales.
I know, it's so
like
true
it.
though, because
Yeah,
there's
VeggieTales is great. We're talking like Bible Man, the donut
whole
hole,
repair
like-
shop. There's so much bad.
This isn't the 2000s, but he's doing it. What about that?
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna
I love
dive
that
into
kid.
some DC talk. God is doing a new thing.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen.
The karaoke, the
Yeah,
kid
the
doing the
karaoke
karaoke
kid is the best.
so awesome.
I can't believe we haven't talked about that kid on Internet Supreme Court, honestly.
Have to.
But Heidi, thank you so much. If people were really into this conversation and they want to follow your acting and all of the other fun stuff you do, is there a good spot for them to go to that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm Ms. MS, like not Mrs., not Miss, but MS Heidi Cox everywhere, including Facebook, I think. And then also my production company, Dweeb Darlings. There is a short film that I want to make. I mean, I made a person recently, so it's been kind of put on the back burner, but I'm looking at it again. It's about like religious abuse and like how our religion and how abuse can kind of get tied into that at times. Not always, but
Well, thankfully, making a person is almost as good as making a short film. So
Yeah,
she's
not as much work, I'd say.
wonderful. She's so great too. So Katie's met her.
I have.
yeah, I'll meet
lunch.
her this summer.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
But yeah, y'all can follow me there. And yeah, this was really fun. It's long overdue. Thank you for your patience and trying to schedule it.
Of course,
You're
of
a new
course.
mom.
And we will be back next week with even more Christian cringe.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.